He not only witnessed these incredible historical events, but he wrote a series of letters to his wife. Keeler was a very well-read man, very literate, but he was also ever so slightly awkward. In today's parlance, you might call Keeler a little bit of a nerd. First time he sees the ship, he wonders about this strange iron contraption and what it's going to mean for the heroism and the glory that he hopes to bring home from warfare. He writes to his wife, "I saw my iron home for the first time, but I shall not attempt a description of it now. You may rest assured that your better half will be in no more danger from rebel compliments than if he was seated with you at home." Then he says, "There isn't even danger enough to give us any glory."
Slow!
But there were dangers, new ones, resulting from the very innovations designed to protect the crew of the Monitor. Confined below the waterline, with no daylight, the crew depended on the machinery for the very air they breathed. If the machine broke down, they would die. Her lethal potential became clear as she hit rough seas.
Within a few days after the Monitor leaves port for the first time, it encounters a storm, and Keeler has this to say about the waves on the deck.
As the day advances, some anxious faces are seen. Now we scoop up a huge volume of water on one side, and as it rolls to the other with the motion of the vessel, it is met by a sea coming from the opposite direction, the accumulative weight seeming sufficient to bury us forever.
Paymaster Keeler preserved hundreds of artifacts and records for posterity, and some of the most personal and evocative have been handed down the generations to his great-great-grandson.
This is actually a little photo album that includes, I believe, his family, and there's also one picture of himself in there.
Well, I've studied and written about William Keeler for more than a decade now, but it's also a great thrill for me to stand here and talk to someone who's actually descended from him. And looking at the photographs and looking at you, maybe I can see a little bit of Keeler's eyes in your eyes. That's the picture that was taken of him the first day when he got his uniform and had his portrait taken in the Brooklyn Navy Yard when he was just joining the Monitor.
So I understand he didn't want a uniform?
Yeah, he thought he was just a regular guy, that maybe he could join the Navy and they wouldn't need to give him a uniform, which of course is sort of touchingly naive, because the one rule of the military is that everyone has a uniform. So we've seen from Keeler's letters quite a number of things about his personality and what kind of a person he was. He was very organized, he was very meticulous, which is why we have these letters. He was a teetotaler, he was opposed to drinking.
Gee, that's very interesting, because my grandmother herself was a teetotaler. My mother was a teetotaler, and I guess most of the family. With the exception of myself, I'll have a glass of wine.